is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Let's go, baby.
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break.
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Monday, November 30th, 2020, season 16, episode number 71. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. At least Nick is. The rest of us are at our homes. We'll be doing the show here. I'll be doing the show here this week and back in the studio next week. But that doesn't stop us. We got an hour, actually 45 minutes of Cowboys talk for you guys. And today we've got to rehash that game from Thanksgiving Day. The Cowboys lose to the Washington football team 41-16 in a game that, well, I'll let you guys tell us the bigger storyline of the game, because it seemed like for me that game, that final score didn't necessarily reflect the game through most of the game, but obviously at the end of the game it just all exploded on the Cowboys and they lose 41-16. Let's go and start with the storylines of the game. Nick, let's start with you.
I mean, just what I wrote, they were one-dimensional. They couldn't run the ball. And when they showed it early in the game that they couldn't run, and when that happens, you know, obviously, especially on a defense that good, they're going to be looking for all kind of trick, gadget crap that they try to throw out there, and it didn't work. But I mean, this team was built to go run the football. They're obviously not built that way anymore, and they were just so one-dimensional, and it affected them throughout the game, and it gave Washington short fields.
Amber.
Well, doesn't matter how bad the NFC is it's just not gonna happen this year for the Cowboys. I had jumped back on the train thinking that after Minnesota they were able to do some things, and then this happened. It's like, if it's not one thing, it's another. You get your two starting tackles, they go out of the game early, but then the Cowboys are still kind of in there, you know, they're still competing. But then the coaching staff, the coaching decisions, I don't understand, and I know we're going to get into it, but it's just like, man, it's just, we cannot enjoy one single game in peace. It's always got to be one problem with this team. So that's all I have to say in a nice way at this moment.
You know what's funny
at this moment
is, I don't know, I think we were all on that text message Thursday when Amber was like, all right, I'm done. I'm absolutely done. So we knew this was coming, and that was very light. So as we get into the show, I'm sure Amber will have more that she wants to throw on that pile, but that was a good open, Amber.
I had like 4 days to cool down.
Dave, what you got for us?
AG, we got to talk about just riding the middle, man. Like, you can't follow the team on this roller coaster. It's going to drive you crazy. Because, listen, Thursday sucked. They looked terrible, but like, they're almost in the exact same boat that they already were. Like, yeah, it's bad to lose a division game, but the roller coaster's not over. Like, there's 5 more of these to go against some terrible teams. So all I'm saying is just get ready to be frustrated for another month, if I had to guess. As far as the game itself, I agree with what AG just said. Like, the decision making, like, this shouldn't have been a blowout loss. I'm taking the point from Rob Phillips, but Washington basically started 3 possession in the Cowboys' red zone. 2 of those were questionable coaching decisions, and 1 was a fumble by Zeke Elliott. I think that's the story of the game. Self-inflicted errors. I know it sucks that they lost their tackles on the first drive of the game, but they were in it. And I know, well, you know, we're going to get into the fake punt, but they were in it until the coaches decided that they didn't need to be anymore, in my opinion. This is a game more than any other this season where I put it on the coaching staff just putting their team in really bad situations.
Let's jump into that. I really want to dive into these two coaching decisions, I think, that we really need to talk about as we start our moments that mattered. We'll start with these 2, and then we'll go around and let you guys talk about the moments that mattered to you. The first coaching decision, it was a 4th down It was in the first quarter, about 5:22 left in the first quarter. Dallas and Washington were tied 10-10. And the interesting thing was there was a 3rd and 1 at the Dallas 34. Dallas runs a shovel pass to CeeDee Lamb, gets no gain, and then they come back on 4th and 1, and they have an incomplete pass to CeeDee Lamb where he was in one-on-one coverage on the outside. Tell me, do you agree or disagree with that decision, and why? Let's start first with you, Dave.
The decision to go for it or the decision to throw a pass?
Yeah.
No, I mean
the whole thing.
Okay, I'm not going to sit here and question the decision to go for it. I like aggressive football. I like when coaches play bold. It's 4th and short, 3rd and short for that matter. Like, you should be able to pick that up. We saw him do it last week, and everybody applauded him for it. I really hate the play call to throw it out to CeeDee Lamb on a hitch like that. And they said that they felt like they had a favorable matchup. Even if you do, it's such a high risk play on a 4th down. I thought that was really dumb. I think me and Nick are in agreement that in situations like this, there's just got to be a way to make it easy. I mean, you don't feel comfortable quarterback sneaking with Andy Dalton. There's got to be somebody else on the roster that can do it. Or, you pay your running back $15 million a year. You'd like to think that he can pick up 9 inches. So, I definitely don't hate the call, but I hate the play that they decided to do it with.
If Andy Dalton had issues with his concussion, he didn't play like it. I mean, he was diving all over the place. He was running and trying to get first downs and all that. So I don't. And then they ran it later. First? Yeah, they ran it later in the game. So I mean, I'm with you, Dave. I don't like the throw out there. I can't say I hate the 3rd down play because they did it a couple times against Minnesota and it seemed to work. So it was like, oh, that's a good play. But, it just, to me, that was the difference in the game, just showing that we can't run Zeke. We know we can't run Zeke. We're not even going to try. We're going to try other stuff. And, it just kind of so deflating for the team that, we can't do what we're supposed to do to run to get a yard. We have to try other things, and it didn't work.
Amber.
What I don't get is, at that point of the game, Zeke hadn't had the fumble. The fumble happened in the 3rd quarter. So it was still pretty early in the game. Why do you feel so you had no confidence on Zeke or even Tony Pollard for that matter? I mean, we've seen Tony Pollard being able to run the ball as well. So that's just very, very confusing to me. As I can't really remember how the O-line was playing at that specific moment, but it shouldn't have been that bad to the point where you can't just get one, a 1st down. I just don't understand. It blows my mind. And the fact that it happened not just one time, it happened multiple times, that's the thing with me, that I just completely don't understand why not run the ball.
Do you guys think that maybe they respected the Washington defensive front? Do you think that maybe in this instance they were giving a little bit too much respect to that defensive front and thinking, hey, we got to do something different because we don't think that we can necessarily run at will against a front this good?
Well, go back to after the Jalen interception. It was 1st and goal in the 4. It was 2nd and goal at the 6. I mean, they looks like a run play on 1st down. That looks like a play that you would think you would run. Washington guessed that. And so I think the Cowboys looked at it and said, when we want to run the ball up the middle and that matchup, that man-on-man is not good for us. Looney's not going to win. McGovern's not going to win. Connor Williams is not going to win. They're just not going to win. And then even the tackles at that point in the game, I mean, it's like they've got to try something else. But, just showing that we're not even going to try. I agree with Amber. I think you have to try right there. That point in the game, you at least have to try to see if our $15 million a year running back can get a yard.
Which, on the flip side, I agree with everything Nick just said, but the flip side is, in the NFL, if you telegraph that you're going to run right up the gut and you're not good at it, or you don't have the line or the back or whatever, you will get stopped. The Cowboys did against Minnesota on 3rd and 1 last week. They got absolutely stuffed, and they had to do the end around to CD to get the 1st down. So I definitely can't, no, they probably were paying the proper amount of respect to Washington's front. They might not have gotten it, but yeah, I still think you need to try, or, that's a situation where if you're going to do it, you've got 2 downs to get it. So maybe try Zeke on third. And again, like, I think the quarterback sneak should be that play almost every single time. And like I said, if you don't trust Andy Dalton to do it, then find somebody else who can. That's what's so valuable about Dak is he's going to get it 99 times out of 100. But I joked on Thursday, like, Blake Bell played quarterback in college. He could definitely handle a snap and run forward for a yard. Like, I would have that in my playbook every single week, and you can't convince me that it wouldn't work in a situation like that, at least.
And earlier in the game, at that point, the first quarter, I think Zeke was a fullback and with Pollard back there, and you can't think that's the only play that's designed there. It's just to run Zeke up the middle and a fullback. I mean, it's to do something else. So I probably would have gone back to that. They're thinking Zeke. That's maybe when Pollard gets it. I don't know. Tell Zeke to block. Be a lead fullback.
Yeah. But, that's always been one. Go ahead, Amber.
I was just going to say that you guys are saying, pay respect to them or whatever. But how about you have some self-respect? Like, have some self-respect, respect your own team, and go out there like you feel like you believe on your own team and you believe that you can do it. To me, that just shows that you're scared, that you know you're incapable of doing those kinds of plays. And you need to go out there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. You need to go play with self-confidence. And to me, those kinds of decisions just goes to show me or make me think that you don't think that your team has what it needs to be able to make it happen.
What if that's true, though? Like honestly, because that's kind of what I wrote. No, I wrote that whole thing. I kind of said this is where the game was lost. But what if McCarthy? I'm just what if that's really the answer? Like, I don't believe that. But I mean, we still have to play. We're not going to cancel. So like, what do you do if you really believe? Hey, we cannot move these guys off the ball.
No, I honestly believe that is the evaluation, and quite frankly, I think it's the right evaluation. I don't think this offensive line can pick up that first down in that kind of short yardage situation unless you do something that's a little different. And Nick, that's where I go back to what you were saying about the play earlier in the game when they had Zeke and Pollard in the backfield. One of the biggest complaints I've had about Kellen Moore from the time he started calling plays here is I think there are too many of those kind of situations where they'll show you something early in the game, and to me, it's setting something up,
right,
but they never come back and follow it up, or it doesn't seem like they come back and follow it up. And you're right, that would have been a perfect situation, or maybe another situation later in the game where you put those two guys in the backfield again. It worked perfectly with Zeke at the fullback position, getting the ball, running, kind of running into the line and picking up the yardage. Next time, maybe pitch it out to Pollard. Fake Zeke and then pitch out to Pollard. It's just like they didn't follow up and use what had already worked to the defense's or to the offense's advantage, and you have to do those things when you're just not as good, and I don't think they're as good. All right, let's go on to the second decision that the coach made. This one, I think most people probably had even a bigger problem with. It was the fourth quarter. It was 12:21 left. Washington was up 20-16, so the game was still in hand at this point. It was 4th and 10 at the Dallas 24. Cowboys decide they're going to do a fake punt. Cedric Wilson gets the ball. He's tackled for a 1-yard loss. I think most people believe he was actually setting that up to be able to throw the pass, was not able to do it to the punter, and he ends up with the 1-yard loss. On the very next play, Washington scores on a 23-yard run by Gibson. Give me your thoughts on that decision-making, because McCarthy says, based on the things they'd seen all week, they felt like they had a good opportunity there. They felt like it was the right decision. He didn't walk back on that. So what do you think of his decision there to go for it? Amber, let's start with you.
Terrible decision, because again, you go back to saying they were 20-16. The game wasn't away. You still had how much time left? Like maybe 12 minutes left in the game. So you still had plenty of time to get back in it. You weren't that far. You were still in it. So why take a decision like that? It was terrible. And I went back to look at the play before the show, and how Cedric Wilson, I mean, he goes back, he takes the ball and makes this long-ass curve all the way in the backfield. I'm like, why? Why are you going even further back to go forward? It didn't make any sense. I mean, the call was terrible, and it's not like you say, oh man, we've seen special teams play amazing this year. We trust them. We know they can do it. Absolutely not. Terrible decision. I don't care what they say. I don't care the reason behind it. I think you should not have done that whatsoever. You ended up positioning Washington in a great field position. They come back and score on you, and then there goes the game.
Nick.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. No, I can't. I can't.
Okay.
I can't. No, I can't. I mean,
Damn! I was like, let's hear it.
No. I mean,
Yeah, let's go. Right?
You can't. It's the. I mean, I tweeted. Is this the worst play call ever? And I think it is. Here's my take. Everything she said is right. The time. I mean, but I thought that Mike McCarthy came in here was preaching analytics. That's one thing he said from the start. We're big and proponent of analytics. Well, analytics is what? Probability? The probability rate that this is going to happen if you go for 2 here and all that kind of stuff. So the probability of 4th and 10, giving it to a backup receiver, let him come around 10 yards, or as she said, long ass curve to get around to get there, make it 4th and 20, so you can throw it to the punter. Like, that's the play. That's the probability, so you can have the ball at the 35, 38-yard line and then keep driving. I mean, punt the ball. Because the probability, Alex Smith, great story, comeback player of the year, tribute to him to come back. He's still not a good quarterback. And his last throw was to Jalen Smith. So the probability is that he's probably going to make that. If you want to generate a big play, put it in the hands of Alex Smith with the pressure on and see if Alex Smith can give you a big play. He already gave you one. That it just makes no sense to me.
Dave.
Yeah, I don't know what else I can add on top of that. I mean, it's just like I said. I mean, I think the game gets away from you right after this. They score on the next possession, and I mean, you can't tell me that that's not a morale thing. I mean, the defense wasn't amazing on Thursday, but they had been playing well. The 2 possessions prior to that were a 3-and-out and the interception by Jalen Smith. Like I said, they weren't playing great, but they weren't surrendering 23 and 37-yard touchdowns, and that happens on the first play. Afterward, no, that is a demoralized defense that is like, wow, appreciate you putting us in this spot, coach. And they might not say that, but yeah, again, they might not say that publicly, but that's what I believe. And again, I mean, if it's 4th and 2, okay, I'm here. If it's 4th and 5, okay, let's party. It's 4th and 10. 4th and 10, right up near your own red zone. You give the ball to Cedric Wilson 10 yards behind the line, so you got to pick up 20 yards to convert. He's supposed to throw to the punter, which, by the way, this ain't Chris Jones or Johnny Hecker, like these veteran punters who have run many fakes in their lives. This is a guy who's playing in like his 3rd NFL game. You're putting him in that spot. Or Cedric is supposed to, find a secondary read and throw it 15, 25 yards down the field as a wide receiver. Like, the whole thing was asinine. And, I mean, the coaches can defend it all they want to, but it was awful. Hey. And I say that as a guy, like, I love fake punts. I love being aggressive. That wasn't aggressive. It was reckless. And it didn't work, and it cost him the game.
What are your thoughts when the special teams coach comes out and says it would have worked earlier in the game?
Well, they should have called it then. They should have. I mean,
right. Call it earlier in the game.
I'll call it earlier when you see the more favorable look.
Yeah, and when it doesn't work, I'll put it in my 5 plays article. Like, oh, don't forget this play, but don't make it like the game. You're right. I mean, when that happened, it was like, you flip that. What are they? WFT? Yeah. Flip those last 2 because that's exactly what it was, and I'm sure every one of us got a text message from someone that said those exact 3 words. Maybe
people that I don't like. Just people that I don't talk to on a regular basis. It's Thanksgiving. Everybody's watching football. Like, people I don't hear from on a regular basis were texting me like, "What did I just watch in your game?"
Right, what
I'm like, I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to figure that out too.
Yeah, I've had to talk about this with people all weekend. I'm sure guys probably have too, as you talking to different family members. My thing is always, look, when you call something like that, I'm not killing you for making the call to do it. Even though it was a bad decision, I think, I'm not killing you for that part. What I'm killing you for is you made that decision in a bad situation, and you didn't have a play call that was so great that it would overcome that bad situation. Like if you can convert something like that because you knew we have been working on this one play that we knew was going to be perfect for this situation, and we were able to convert it. In those kind of situations, hey, it worked out for you, great. It was still probably a bad decision, but it worked out for you. So I'm killing him for the fact that, like you said, Nick, when you start factoring in all the things that are probabilities in this, that you're going to have a wide receiver who's going to be able to throw a pass downfield, that you're going to have a punter who's in his third NFL game is going to be able to run a route and get open, that you're going to be able to convert this thing 10 yards, right? Everything about this says, no, it's not going to happen, but somehow they felt like it was, and it proved out that they were absolutely wrong, as we all knew they probably would be in that kind of situation. So, all things being considered, it was a bad decision. It was a really bad decision.
It makes you wonder, and again, these are the types of things that you will never hear somebody say publicly, but it makes me wonder what they were thinking about the state of the team. Like, are they on the sideline like defense is giving up a touchdown if they have to go back out there no matter what? I mean, because it's a call that reeks of desperation. And like I said, they're not going to say that publicly, but I wonder. They're like, we gotta stay on the field or we're losing the game anyway. Which, if that was their mindset, then maybe I understand it a little bit better. But no, it was bad.
That's not like you're facing Mahomes or Drew Brees or somebody that you can't stop them. I mean, they're facing Alex Smith, who they up until that point they had not driven the ball past midfield for points since the first quarter. I mean, they got some short fields, but they had not been able to drive the ball since the first quarter and score any points. So why do you have to generate a play? How about just let Nice Wander do what he does? He punts. He can punt 50, 60 yards, flip it down there. There could be a block in the back the way those refs were calling on special teams, and then you got to go make a stop. You're down 4. But I mean, the Cowboys. I wonder what the win probability was for the Cowboys at that point in the game. I mean, I bet it was right there at 50-50. Depends on when they punted it. But as Dave said, I mean, everybody said the coach took them out of that. The coach said, we're taking this away. And then the bottom really dropped out.
And they had been playing well to that point. So relatively well. I mean, you're only down 2016. There are some things that are going well for you at that point. You're already down your 2 tackles as well. So I just think he basically put him in a situation that you put a team that has a much better defense in, that you put a team that has a much better offense in. He doesn't have those things to be able to take those kinds of chances. He's got to play it a little closer to the vest when his team is actually in a ball game. All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we got some performance reviews we want to get into. We'll talk a little bit about those tackles and what it's looking like as far as their ability to come back and play here down the stretch in the final 5 games. Do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Want to show your Texas and team pride too? You can. By purchasing your own Stetson, you can look just like how the flag guys do on field at every home game. Stetson hats, the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys, and your favorite football team.
Get yours today at shop.dallascowboys.com or at stetson.com.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Dear, it's 1908. Don't you think we should get electricity?
And stop using candles to see at night.
It's just electricity lights up the room fast. It's more reliable than candles blowing out, and people seem to love it nationwide.
Well, candles are...
Dear, did you just run into the wall?
Nope. May I have a new candle, please?
Historically, switching to new technology is a no-brainer. Today, it's AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure, and nationwide. Switch to AT&T 5G. It's not complicated. 5G requires compatible plan. May not be in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
Cowboy fans, Black Friday kicks off at the Dallas Cowboys Pro Shops with up to 40% off new gear. The Pro Shop has a huge selection of cold weather gear and hottest holiday gifts. 'Tis the season for football and holiday fun. Visit your Dallas Cowboys Pro Shop or shop.dallascowboys.com to shop all of the holiday savings.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We're going to do some performance reviews. We're talking about the Cowboys and the Washington football team game from Thanksgiving Day. Cowboys lose 41-16. In the first quarter, the Cowboys lost both of their starting tackles, Zach Martin and Cam Erving. As a result, check these lines out. Zeke has 10 carries for 32 yards, a 3.2 average. Pollard has 4 carries for 12 yards, a 3-yard average. They allowed 4 sacks throughout the game. So my question for you guys is, what's the status of Martin and Erving? Because it doesn't look like, if they don't come back anytime soon, that this team's going to be in position, even against bad teams, to really be able to do a whole lot. Dave, what do you know about that?
It's an MCL sprain for Cam and a calf strain for Zach. So based on what Zach looked like leaving the field, I mean, I'm sure it hurts like hell, but it looked a lot worse than a muscle strain.
Can we get a cart?
That's good news. I guarantee you.
He probably said no.
No, Zach was like, F that. I'm not doing that. I guarantee you he said something like that.
I'm betting that. Yeah, I'm betting he was like, I am not getting driven off this field.
It was almost Friday by the time he got off the field. I mean, it was like, oh my God.
It took a long time. So MCL sprain, we know that's typically a 3 or 4 week injury, and the timetable on Zach is probably 3 or 4 weeks. So basically, I would guess you're looking maybe the San Francisco game on December 20th, but I would guess the Philly game after Christmas is like a realistic spot. And so then you just got to ask yourself, are they still playing for something by then? Because if they're not, I would imagine you just shut those guys down. But something to, we'll see. If they can get a win or two here in the next few weeks, maybe those guys come back. And if they can't, then probably not.
I just keep thinking about Nick's calf, and I'm like, man, 3 or 4 weeks. I don't know. That doesn't seem right.
Well,
true.
That seems like that's about a year.
Honestly, though, like he's going to do what anybody with a calf injury should do, and that's get off of it and not walk around or not try to run or anything stupid. So he's gonna
play football.
Yeah, dumb. But he's gonna take care of it. I'm sure way better. But
when did that happen? How long ago did that happen?
May 28th, 2019. And the reason I know it is because
how's it feel?
It feels fine if I walk, but I guarantee I start running, like, it hurts. So I probably damaged it more. But and he's not going to damage it more. He's not going to do that. But
no, he's not.
But I have a totally different opinion about that injury. I really thought that was kind of like hamstring, like a couple weeks, whatever. But as we've seen with Cheeto and other players, I mean, just there's different types of hamstring. I mean, look at Daniel Jones. I mean, he's probably going to be out. He could be out maybe the rest of the season with a hamstring injury right there. So it's those strains are different for different guys. But I don't think he's going to come back. Zach Martin. I don't know about Cam.
I don't either. If I'm just like if you just ask me my gut feeling, I don't think he comes back. Like if this was a team with something meaningful to play for, maybe he could gut through it in a month. But why would you do that to the best player on your team in a season that doesn't look like it's going anywhere?
Yeah.
Since we're on this topic, can I ask a fan question real quick?
Sure.
I was seeing people. And we know we've talked about this O-line and all these injuries, and at first we were thinking, we know they haven't had a off-season, the pandemic, blah, 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 and all this, and then we accounted all those injuries to the possibility of that being the reasoning. But this far along into the season, why is it that we keep seeing so many O-line injuries this year? And I know that's hard to answer, but what would you think is the problem here? Why does it keep happening at this point of the year?
You know, I think I really think it's bad luck because none of them are the same. I mean, Tyler Biadasz gets hurt in pregame warmups. Are you serious? Like, I don't know what happened with Zach Martin. I mean, it didn't look like it was like way away from the play. You know, Cam, I think got kind of rolled up on, I believe. I didn't really look at that again. I just think they're all so different that I don't know if you can put your finger on one thing. But, I mean, if you look around the league, everybody in the league's getting hurt. I mean, it's not just the Cowboys. I mean, there's... I think one thing that is unique, sorry, Dave, one thing that is unique about this team is the injuries are happening at the same position. It's like I understand in certain places like Denver, you know, whole position groups in one place, and, you know, that could be bad. They give each other the same thing. But in this case, the position groups in the same, they're giving each other the injuries. I mean, it's 4 tackles, it's 2 quarterbacks, it's 3 cornerbacks, it's 2 linebackers. It's just you're really hurting this team's depth.
I know, you know, there's obviously, like, you can apply science to health, and there are some really amazing strength and conditioning staffs in the NFL. You know, the guys on the Cowboys roster adore the Cowboys strength and conditioning staff. Like, so many good things to say about them. So I think you can gain an edge in that department, but for the I mean, it's an extremely violent game where guys who aren't supposed to be as big as they are moving at speeds that they're not supposed to be moving at. I don't, you know, I almost, it's basically, I think it's kind of a waste of time to be like, why is this happening? Because it just does. And the Cowboys have been very unlucky, A, that it's been as bad as it has, and B, it's been one position group. But, like, I don't think there's an underlying theme for why this stuff is happening. It's just an unfortunate circumstance of playing the game of football.
You know, I disagree with you a little bit, Dave. I do think the offseason, the lack of an offseason this last year, I think it makes a difference. I think that's a lot of why this is happening, and not just to the Cowboys, happening across the league. When you're training your body to prepare to be able to play a game like this, I think people don't really understand the amount of work that has to happen starting back in April, and how they're training your body based upon, Nick, you were talking about it last week when we were talking about the passing of Marcus Paul, and how he and his staff would literally get with every player individually and say, okay, here are the things that we think we need to work with you on as far as your body is concerned to help you get through a 16-game season at your optimal level of play, right? And without that, now they had some of that, but without the guys being able to be in the building on a daily basis, going in and working out with their strength and conditioning coaches, it's just hard to make sure that they all are prepared and prepared their bodies in the way that they need to in order to give them the best chance. Now, football is football. It's still going to be football. There's still going to be injuries. I just think you see more of them this year because I personally believe it's the fact that they didn't have the same kind of training in the offseason.
For the record, I completely agree with everything you just said. It's very obvious that the unique year that we're in is a big part of why we've seen these injuries. But this happens in regular seasons too. Like, how many seasons have we covered where there's like been a rash of hamstring injuries and fans are like, what the hell is going on with this team's hamstrings? Like, what are they doing wrong? Everybody's got a bum ham. Like, Miles Austin, it was like year after year where people were like, what's the deal with this guy's hammy? Like, and yeah, there are things you can do to combat that, but at the same time, football's football. So yes, like, the pandemic is a big part of it, but something similar would be happening in a regular year too. Maybe not to this degree, but these things just happen.
Right, absolutely. And I agree. There's definitely injuries every single year. I think that it's just, in my opinion, there is an increased number of injuries this year. And I think the reason, and you look across the league, like, there are top line NFL stars that are out this year due to injuries that took them out for the whole year. And I don't think it's a coincidence that happens in a year when they didn't have a normal offseason like they would have any other year. All right, we're going to take our final break. When we come back, we got some more positions that we want to talk about. We got to talk about Zeke and his fumbling situation. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and cream soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and cream soda.
A delicious duet.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Dear, it's 1908. Don't you think we should get electricity?
And stop using candles to see at night.
It's just electricity lights up the room fast. It's more reliable than candles blowing out, and people seem to love it nationwide.
Well, candles are...
Dear, did you just run into the wall?
Nope. May I have a new candle, please?
Historically, switching to new technology is a no-brainer. Today, it's AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure, and nationwide. Switch to AT&T 5G. It's not complicated. 5G requires compatible plan. May not be in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
We've got boxing at AT&T Stadium, and I'm not talking about some over-the-hill legends or basketball players. I'm talking about the unified welterweight world champion Errol the Truth Spence Jr. He's going to duel 2-division world champion Danny Swift Garcia in a blockbuster event Saturday, December 5th, AT&T Stadium. Get your tickets now before they sell out at SeatGeek.com. Yeah, I added that part.
Hey, I'm going to tell you this, though. As much as it was not great boxing, it was good comedy. Saturday night was really, really good comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I had a good time watching Twitter and seeing how everybody was reacting to Nate Robinson and then reacting to the old guys in there. But it was definitely good comedy. I needed that Saturday night.
That's like,
all right, let's jump back in.
I was going to say earlier today, Snoop obviously was commentating that, and it's what reminded me of what Amber said. And I know you looked at me, I looked at you, because it was like, Snoop said it best. If it ain't one thing, it's another.
Right. We were both looking at each other, ready to laugh, ready to jump out and say it.
Glad that she censored it.
When Nate Robinson went down and Snoop started singing "Precious Lord," I really almost hurt my stomach. Like literally, I thought I was gonna hurt my stomach laughing so hard. That was hilarious. All right, let's jump back in. We got to talk about Zeke, man. This fumbling thing is just out of control. He now has 6 fumbles this season. At the time when it happened, Dallas was they had the ball. It was the opening drive of the second half. They were down 17-13. It led to a Washington field goal that pushed it to 2013. After the game, though, and I'm just interested in hearing what Zeke had to say about it. Dave, what did you hear from Zeke after the game? I'm sure he was asked about it by the media. What were his thoughts on this fumble?
I mean, his main thing was that he thought, he said he thought somebody kicked the ball while he was fighting for extra yards. Honestly, with everything that happened, Zeke spent a lot of his media availability talking about Marcus Paul and just the emotion of getting ready for a game in those circumstances. Like, he didn't really offer up a lot about the fumble, but I know what he would say. He would just be, I can't let that happen. I have to be better, because that's what he's said after all of the other ones, and it's still happening. It's really disheartening. I said this on Thursday. Is like, I don't expect him to be amazing when he doesn't have his quarterback and his line is a fiasco. I mean, it would be great if he could be, but I don't expect it. I do expect him to hold on to the ball and be a reason why the team wins instead of a big reason why they lose. I run out of things to say. Is like, he's not playing up to his contract. He's not currently playing like an above replacement value NFL running back. And like, I still think he is, but but why? Like, where's my evidence that suggests that? It's like I said, it's disheartening and frustrating.
You got any answers, Nick and Amber? Like, I'm so much at a loss at this point, and obviously we know that he's not necessarily playing at a level that you would expect from a guy making that amount of money. But like Dave says, you would at least expect him to be able to hold on to the ball, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, if you didn't know him better, you would say maybe, like, it just looks like a guy that's checked out. But I'm not saying that he is. It's just that, he doesn't have his quarterback, doesn't have his line. There's so many reasons of why it's not going his way. But he's got to focus better. You got to concentrate. I mean, I don't think anybody kicked that ball out. His quote was like, I think someone kicked the ball out, but it didn't. I mean, like, he was fighting.
You know
for
what,
extra
Nick?
yards.
I rewatched it on the break, and it's hard to tell. I try to go slowly, and what it looks like is there is a defender there, and when he goes down, the ball just kind of lands and touches the foot of the guy. Not that the guy kicked it. He just happens to kind of land on the foot of somebody.
And that's what caused the ball to come out?
And maybe he thought, because he felt a foot there, maybe he thought, someone kicked it out. But in reality, it's just the way he landed and the fact that he wasn't protecting it with the other arm for the ball not to go out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my biggest problem with this whole thing is just I feel like he's not protecting the ball. Like, it's not front of mind for him that when I'm fighting for these extra yards, even if it requires me covering the ball with both arms, I'm not doing enough to protect the ball. And if I can't get the extra yards without protecting the ball, then maybe I don't need the extra yards, is the way I would look at it if I'm him in this situation where your team needs you to, at the very least, not turn the ball over.
Well, but I'll say this, though. This team, how many 3rd and 1, 4th and 1? I mean, they had 1st and goal from the 4. You've got to fight for extra yards. I mean, he sees it there. He goes. I mean, I applaud him for trying to get that because he knows he's got to get a first down. I mean, I made the comment earlier in the game. I mean, this team can get 9 yards easy. It's just that last yard they can't get. And so, he's got to fight for extra yards. He's just got to do it better.
Yeah, he just got to protect the ball while he does it. I mean, that's the only point.
Yeah.
If he can't protect the ball, then it's not worth it because, as they say in the program, imagine how good it would be if we still had the ball. Like, you got to keep the ball. You can't turn it over.
Let's imagine an alternate reality where Zeke is one of the 900 guys on injured reserve. If they were getting this level of production from Rico Dowdle, they'd have cut him by now. They would have been like, well, you're not doing it. Like, why? No, we'll just go get another guy who can do this. Like,
that's a great point, Dave.
It's like I said, he's playing below replacement value. Like, the one thing any NFL running back should be able to do is get tackled and hold on to the ball. And I don't have an answer for it, but I'm out of things to say. I really do feel for Zeke. Like, I think a lot of the criticism is over the top, in my opinion. Like, I think I've already said before that it's not ideal for what you're paying him, but like when the team is healthier next year, I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah.
But it's so disheartening that you can't even get mediocre running back play from a guy that's making the money that Zeke is making right now.
But I have to disagree on that, though. Rico Dowdle would not be cut. You think if he's got 6 fumbles, but he's 7th in the NFL in rushing, you're definitely not going to cut a guy who's 7th in the league in rushing if he's an undrafted rookie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, he's got production though. But that's
volume stats, though. That's volume stats. Like, is Zeke really 7th in the league?
I think so. I mean,
that's honestly he's had one 100-yard game. He's averaged he's averaged better than 4 yards a carry. Like,
I thought he was 7th going into the game, and I don't know if that would have probably dropped him after with just 35. Right, with 35 last weekend. Yeah, that's not going to keep him there. But yeah, I mean, I get the point. And here's the deal. I mean, I don't think that Zeke is. Somebody mentioned that you would think that if you didn't know him that he would be a guy that's kind of checked out. I don't believe even for a second. I don't think any of us believe for a second he's a guy that's checked out. That's not the kind of guy that he is. I just think that for whatever reason, he can't fix this problem. And that's where, to me, I think it's either on him or it's on his running back coach or some other coach to get in his ear and say, look, man, above all else, protect the ball. That's where your focus needs to be first and foremost. Everything else that comes from that has to start with you protecting the ball. And if you can get those extra yards, great. First and foremost, you have to protect the ball so that he can, at least in his mind, refocus himself on protecting the ball in all situations.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of bad quarterbacks, great quarterbacks on bad teams. I mean, they typically do enough to get win games. But you see it with running backs. I mean, there has been some really good running backs, Hall of Fame running backs that play on bad teams. I mean, if you don't have some help around you, it's hard to just do it all by yourself. You've got, and especially if you're not dynamic that can just take it to the house. He's not that kind of guy. I mean, obviously you can say Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was dynamic. Doesn't matter who was blocking for him. But Zeke's certainly not that guy. He needs help. He needs better blocking. He's had it his whole career. He doesn't have it this year.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems, and that's one of the challenges when you spend as much money as you do on a running back, on any running back. When you pay that second contract, a lot of times it's going to be very, very difficult to get the return on investment because, as you said, Nick, if you can't do it by yourself, if you can't be the reason that the team is performing really well, even in adverse situations, then it's hard to make that money make sense.
Did anyone, though, I don't think anyone on this show, did anyone really stand up and say, no way they should be paying this guy? Like when he was holding out and all that stuff. I don't remember that.
No, I definitely, I think my attitude at the time, and I still honestly believe it, is like, you shouldn't be paying a running back that. But if there's a guy that I think you can get away with paying a contract like that to, it's probably Zeke. And my thing with that was more about his durability than his dynamic ability. And that's kind of my point, is like, I'm not panicked about the Zeke contract the way a lot of people are. Like, when the team's healthier, I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah.
It does suck that he is not rising to this challenge, I guess. I mean, I don't envy him because it sounds hard, but that's what you expect for that price.
Right.
And I will say this, Nick, I at the time I thought they needed to pay him. I do remember on this show, though, us talking about, should you ever pay a running back that second contract? And I think we all kind of landed on it's probably not going to be a good thing most of the time, but Zeke is a different situation. I think what I've learned since then is I don't care who it is. If I'm an NFL team, the percentages, you talk about analytics, the percentages say it is not a smart idea to pay a running back in vast majority of the situations a second contract. So just go out and draft another one. And by the way, you can draft them in the second, third, fourth round and still get really, really quality running backs. I just think that's a smarter way of doing business in today's NFL because I think you can get quality without having to pay that big second contract to a guy that in most instances is not going to give you the return on that investment.
But let's not forget, the Cowboys, it's not like they don't think that way because the Cowboys had the best season of any running back ever in DeMarco Murray as far, he has the Cowboys single season record. Mm-hmm. And they came back the next year and said, yeah, we'll re-sign you for this. About $6 million or so. We're not going to go over that. Philadelphia did, and they regretted it. And he never was the same. So it's not like they don't already know that. I think they just felt like we're all saying here that with Zeke and everything, it's just different, and he's worth it. And so far, it's it hasn't worked out.
But
look across the. Go ahead, Amber.
I was just gonna say. I mean, you talk about how easy it is to replace running backs because of the position, but at the same time, when you look at other NFL teams just in general around the league, how often do you say, oh, the best player on that team is the running back? I don't know.
I think you say it in Tennessee right now, you'd probably say that. Maybe in Minnesota. Definitely in Minnesota, you'd say that. Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
I mean, Zeke has been the best player of the Dallas Cowboys in the past few years. Hasn't been this year, clearly, but in previous year, I think that you just would always see him specifically as the best player on the team, and therefore he kind of ended up with that kind of contract.
There's not many teams like that.
Good, Dave.
I just wonder, maybe, again, you kind of got to go back in time and think about it. Like, Zeke signed that deal before they played a snap of the 2018 season. I wonder if they would feel as compelled to get that deal done if they had known Dak was going, the 2019 season, if they had known Dak was going to make the leap that he has made. Because he was solid in 2018, but he took his ability to another level last season and certainly seemed like he was on that path in 2020 before he got hurt. I wonder if the Cowboys had been 100% confident they were going to get that quarterback, would they have been as eager to sign Zeke to that deal as they were? I don't know.
Right. And I think the other reason they were willing to sign that deal is because they thought they had a dominant offensive line. And Zeke was the cherry on top of a dominant offensive line. You have an outstanding running back with an outstanding offensive line. You can do some great things. So what we're seeing right now is without that offensive line, it kind of negates their ability to get great play out of Zeke. And in my opinion, you could get the same play, if maybe not a little bit better, at least from holding on the ball from that standpoint, from other running backs out there. And I'll challenge you to do this. Look across the NFL right now and find me the number of running backs in the top 10, let's say, in rushing that are on a second deal. It's not very many. Derrick Henry is the only one that comes to mind for me right now. Most of them are guys that are still on their first deal. And so I think that's the part you have to remember, is that this is an NFL where younger guys at the running back position can give you great production for those first 4 or 5 years of that deal. It's really not worth it in most instances to pay the second deal. All right. Appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll get into some bigger picture topics. We'll talk a little bit about the NFC East. The Eagles will be playing tonight. We'll see where the NFC East is what the NFC East is looking like tomorrow when we get on the show. Till then, for Nick Eaton, Dave Hellman, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this,